Aloha kākou Pakahia Pau. Good morning, everyone. Greetings to the commissioners, staff, and our public who are here to testify. Welcome to our um, Maui County Cultural Resources Committee today on August 6th, 2026. Welcome. Let's ask for a roll call.
Okay, we can do roll call. First of all, Commissioner Kapu. Audio off. Yeah, we can hear you. Commissioner Poi Poi.
You're at home, Puko Molokai, with no one else in the room.
Okay, thank you. We'll circle back to Commissioner Kapu. Okay, I thought I heard him say yes. Our president, Commissioner Arakawa.
Aloha, Kalamai. I'm just landing on Maui. I'll be heading to my office soon.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair Mather.
Present in person.
Okay, and Chair Kamanu.
President.
Okay, we have 5 commissioners.
All right, mahalo. Before we start, let's do a little housekeeping. For public testimony that will be taken today, each testifier will have at least 3 minutes to testify on each item, with 30 seconds to wrap up. For those of you who are online, make sure to check in so that way you're in the order of how you want to testify. But please remain mute and camera off until called upon. Please, testifiers here in person and online, introduce yourself nice and loud. After your testimony, just remain for a little while for questioning if any of our commissioners may have some. And then always have, in any meeting, we should always have some standard of decorum. Okay. Without further ado, let's get on to the first agenda item today with Nameho, or new business, is number 1. Presentation by the Department of OEV Resources on proposed work at Mokuhinia related to restoring the Royal Lahaina Compound, Lahaina National Historic Landmark District, County Historic District 1, Pāʻia Ahupua'a, Lahaina Moku, Maui Mokupuni. At this time, I'd like to open up to public testimony. Staff, is there anyone here to testify?
Chair, I see no one online or in person wishing to testify.
Mahalo. I understand we have a presenter for this project.
Chair.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh.
Sorry. So for the record, I am an employee of Aina Archaeology, and they're the archaeology subcontractor for G70, which is the planner for this project. So I'm disclosing my connection to this agenda item, and I'm having to recuse.
Aye.
Mahalo.
Mahalo, Vice Chair. And it's to my understanding within Robert's Law, Vice Chair is recusing herself. However, we still have quorum, and any discussions will not be taken today as far as our commissioners.
Yeah. Oh.
As far as my understanding, but we'll be able to listen to the presentation. But go ahead, Commissioner Kapu.
Yeah, I wanted to also make clarification that I'm Naikani on Maui is also working in Mokuhinia, so I may have to recuse myself. But is there anything on the agenda that needs to be voted on for this discussion, or this is just a temporary review?
Yes, Commissioner, this is just a temporary review and just a presentation.
Yeah,
Okay.
Chair, if the request is for comments of the CRC, you wouldn't be able to provide comments because you need to vote on that. However, if you just need to listen to the presentation and ask questions, that's fine. So it sounds like we have 2 members that are recusing themselves. I did speak with my office on this, and I do think we can still have those individuals stay for quorum purposes, but they would not be allowed to participate in deliberations or vote. So I'm not sure if this presentation is intending to get comments of the CRC, we wouldn't be able to do that. But if the intention is to give the presentation for informational purposes and have the members ask questions, that's fine too. You just couldn't take a vote to say, here are the comments of the CRC, because you need a majority action there. So I hope that's clear, but bottom line, I think you can go forward with hearing the presentation and asking questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kapu. Anyone else have any questions before we move forward?
Yeah, this is Kavika from the planning
Go
department.
ahead,
So my understanding is that the Department of Weaver Resources will be sharing some information with you guys on something that they are thinking about and considering doing. And yeah, there's no action for you guys today.
Mahalo, Kavika. Let's see that screen. Okay, go ahead.
No test.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to close public testimony. Mahalo.
I have to like lean over. It's a short mic. So maybe just real quick, we do have our planners, G70, who are, I think, in the waiting room, waiting to join. So I wanted to just double check if we could confirm that they're able to join this meeting, just as resources as part of this informational presentation. No, okay. Okay, well then hopefully they got in. Yeah, so I'll hop into it. Yeah, grateful to be here. Never did a presentation in a half squat before, but looking forward to our time together. And yeah, maybe I'll do a quick ho'olauna just to introduce myself. My name is Pāʻia Madaris. I'm a Mahiai first and foremost, a servant to Aina. Born and raised here on the island of Maui, and I'm very, very fortunate and privileged to serve in the capacity as Kohoʻokikina Lahaina for our Department of Oiwi Resources, where I like to say I project Mahiai, the restoration of the Lahaina Royal Complex. Like Kavika was mentioning, we're really here just to share information, and no official comments really needed from this group. We wanted to just be transparent and share and keep really this body up to date about the work that's happening there in the Royal Complex. So happy to answer any questions about the overall planning process, where we came from, where we're at, where we're going. But the presentation today is really just specific to what we're referring to as Mokuhinia and Mokuʻula Aina Prep. And maybe before I hop into the presentation, I will, if it's okay with the body, have our resources who are here joining us today to just introduce themselves real quick. We have 2 members of Group 70 who are our planners for this project, as well as in the room today we have Tanya Lee Gregg from Aina Archaeology, who are also one of our subcontractors. So is that okay if they do a quick intro? Yeah?
Yeah, yes, go ahead.
Okay. So Andrew or Kauahi, if you're online, if you want to, I guess, pop on for a moment and just introduce yourselves. And then we also have, maybe while they're getting perhaps their text. Yeah. So maybe we'll hop to Sybil, who is also within our Department of Oiwi Resources, who is here as a resource today as well for this informational presentation. If you want to say aloha, Sybil.
Pilina mai kākou o ke aloha ko'oinoa all the way from the island of Molokai. Mahalo for allowing us to share with you today. Mahalo.
Awesome. And then, yeah, Tanya, I mean, just, I guess most people probably know Tanya. I know she's going to be here all day, so perhaps she doesn't necessarily need to formally introduce herself at this point in time. But yeah, so we'll hop into the presentation, maybe to give a little context, a little background. I would, defer a lot of the historical context to our Commissioner Kapu about the work that has been done to restore and to e hoʻikanani Mokuʻula. We know that this is, really 30 plus years in the making, the restoration of this wahipana, this National Historic Site. And just for the group's awareness, for myself, I was a part of the emergency reaction, response, and now recovery for Lahaina and Kula. I was working in our mayor's office at the time. I had the honor of serving as the co-lead for our Natural and Cultural Resource branch of our Office of Recovery, which is when we included the restoration of the Royal Complex into our long-term recovery plan. And from that point in time, we've been able to now be in the middle of what is the master planning process for this overall Lahaina Royal Complex, which we'll be able to see geographically what we're referring to. So, e hoʻikanani Mokuʻula. So, as I mentioned, we're really just here to share with this body what we're up to related to the restoration. As I mentioned, we are about halfway through our master planning process, which of course is planning. So a lot of it is technical studies. We have, as I affectionately refer to them, as all the IS that are a part of this. We have the archaeologists, the geologists, the hydrologists. We have about 10 subcontractors that are supporting various technical studies as part of this master plan to inform the restoration. But we also identified as a department that there are quite a few action items that we can move forward with already as the master plan is being developed from now till June of 2027. So the first action item that we are seeking to pursue is, like I mentioned, is Mokuhinia and Mokuʻula Aina prep. So really it's just removing, and obviously we have the slide here so you can read through that, but just really at a high level, it's the removal of the 2 tennis courts, the basketball court, and the parking lot. We are going to keep some of the perimeter fencing, which we'll see in a later slide, but really it's just an opportunity again to just prep this AINA for short, medium, and long-term restoration. So we can scroll a little down. Yeah, so we already have the quote construction plan drawn up, and there's a ton of information. We have been working very closely with SHPD and of course Aina Archaeology to develop really our protocol to Malama Iwi, but also to pursue the different compliance that's required, like our 6E letter. So one of the things that we are going to just make as our own protocol moving forward in all of this restoration work, whether it's ground altering, ground disturbing or not, is to always have both archaeological monitors and cultural monitors as part of this work, just understanding the sensitivity and really the sacredness of this site. We can scroll a little down. So this is just a high-level overview of the physical, geographical sort of makeup of what we're referring to for now as the Lahaina Royal Complex. So as you can see, it's functionally the entire perimeter of Mokuhinia and Mokuʻula. Everything in green outside of the 2 parcels to the right below Waikama you see on the map, those are still under Salvation Army ownership, but we are working with them to execute a sort of land acquisition, and they are in full support of the restoration of Mokuhinia and Mokuʻula. It includes also the former Kamehameha Iki Park, the former Kamehameha III School, the former library, and as well as the former actually iconic cultural center, and then some lots that are specific to parking. So that's when we're referring to the Lahaina Royal Complex, these are the specific sites that we're referring to, at least in this contemporary time. And so the red is where the work, the Aina prep is going to occur. And then we can scroll down. And so this is just a snapshot of the construction plan, the Aina prep that we are pursuing. Everything in red is going to be removed. Everything, as I mentioned, there's going to be no ground altering or ground disturbing. And you can kind of see it on the map, but we have both a combination of temporary fencing as well as utilizing some of the fencing that's still a part of the play surfaces to at least secure the perimeter in the meantime, as well as working on other different aspects of an overall security plan to assure that this space is cared for. As Commissioner Kapu shared, Na'aikane o Maui are the right of entry holders to the majority of Mokuhinia. So we have worked very closely with them on this work. So, perhaps if Commissioner Kapu wants to add any mana'o on this.
Hi, aloha. No, I'm good. Very supportive on the side of the work. So I'm gonna kind of limit my mana'o to this project, being that it's only to where it's an informative thing. And if any of the commission has anything that they want to ask me, then that'd be fine. But thank you.
Mahalo. And then maybe I can open it up to Sybil Lopez if you wanted to add any mana'o as well.
Mahalo, Kaya. No, just want to kako'o. And mahalo to Commission again for listening to our presentation today. Mahalo.
Okay, so this is the last slide. I'm going to give it one more shot to see if any of our planners from G70, Kauahi or Andrew, if you're able to join us virtually and you wanted to share any mana'o. Okay, if not, Tanya, did you want to share anything? This is the last slide, yeah. Yep.
Aloha, Tanya Lee Gregg with Aina Archaeology. Thank you for having us today. I just wanted to add some clarifying information or some additional information as well. Following and understanding, the sensitivity of the park and the parking lot and what lies beneath the surface there, and the importance of the island and the extent of the island that lies beneath the current ground surface, is that in addition to the really sensitive way that the project is going to go about removing the hard surfaces in this area, that's also going to be followed up with the placement of topsoil over those then exposed areas. So in addition to the fencing that is going to protect the perimeter area, and potential folks who are curious about the interior, there is going to be additional vertical protection placed above those areas where the hard surfaces have been removed. So that information has also been forwarded to the State Historic Preservation Division. The archaeological monitoring protocols are going to follow those protocols that have been previously approved or previously developed by the Historic Preservation Division themselves, and that is currently being utilized during the rebuild in Lahaina at the moment. So all of those factors are being put into place to ensure the best protection that we can have in these spaces in the lead up to any future restoration that may occur in this area. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe a couple more things to add to that is just additionally with the topsoil specifically where the parking lot area is being removed over Mokuʻula, we are going to include a textile layer that's going to go beneath the topsoil so that we can clearly delineate and then also additionally protect the island itself. And then I think this isn't necessarily specific to this presentation, but I think it's something to just highlight because I think it's relevant to this body, is that we are very aware of the approvals made by the Cultural Resource Commission in 2019 related to enhancing the historic district in Lahaina. So I just wanted to bring that to light, that those recommendations are very much going to be integrated into this master plan. And I won't share it yet, but there are some, we'll say, initiatives within that 2019 Cultural Resource Commission approved actions for this historic district that we will be pursuing as well as something that's actionable that we don't necessarily need to wait till June 2027 to move forward on. But that concludes the formal presentation. So yeah, mahalo nui.
Mahalo, commissioners. Do anyone have any questions for our presenters today?
Yeah, hi, aloha. Kia moko.
Aloha, Commissioner Kapu, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to add a little bit of insight on this. I just say that I sat on the Cultural Resources Commission in 2001 when Akoni Akana, the executive director, was in charge at that time. And from 2001, there's been a lot of changes and all these kinds of things. But, from 2001, I'm still on the field today. We got the right of entry from the county about 2024, 2025. So we've been in here, and just to give the commission kind of a background overlay of what's been happening in this area from 2001 it's been hard because a lot of things that had to do with the Army Corps of Engineers was basically they just wanted to turn this little wetland into a bird sanctuary. But back then, so many years ago, 20 plus years ago, hopefully we can get some more positive insight from the Army Corps of Engineers to allow this project to happen, because it's been a long time overdue. A lot of the homeless situation that's been happening, I'm glad that, the Salvation Army is taking also a proactive role by being involved in the process, because that was the trigger to all those kinds of things. And I just wanted to add a little bit that it's been kind of frustrating from 2001 all the way till today. I hope that now that we're looking at a different lens and a different point of view, with G70 also being hired as a consultant to help us put everything together. I just wanted to add these things, that there's a lot that has been going on the field from the beginning all the way till now. And I think now we have an opportunity, a great and good opportunity, because the Advisory Council on Historic Preservation in Washington, D.C. basically is lightening some of the recommendations to allow this project to go forward. So there's a lot more that is entailed in the project, and I'm pretty sure if G70 or now EV, I'm glad that now EV also is involved, that they're a part of the county's department, and everything that they're involved in is really culture related. So it's good to know that I get to volunteer somebody on the field as well in this Pāʻia. and working with them, knowing that there is finally a possibility that we can do some type of restoration. And this is the start of how this thing basically can help elevate this area to be a part of the National Historic Registry. I just wanted to add that. Mahalo. Thank you.
Mahalo, Commissioner Kapu. Any other commissioners? Any questions, comments, concerns? No. Okay, I know. I remember this project. Friends of Mokuʻula with Akonia Kana. It's been a long time that they have been working on this project. I remember also Miss Tanya Lee working there as an archaeologist when we used to go as Lahaina luau to go and help Kokua with cleaning and making the ahu and stuff. And so to see it come to fruition is a beautiful thing as I can occur with Commissioner Kapu. You know, it's been, 25, maybe 30 years closer. It's a long time coming, and remembering all the cultural tours, the walking tours through historical Lahaina, and it was such a beautiful vision, and the place that they imagined that Mokuʻula would have. So mahalo for taking on the kuleana, and thank you for your presentation. Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Chair,
Oh, yeah, yes, go ahead, Commissioner Poi Poi.
just wanted to comment that I'm happy to be be a part of the commission when this is happening. Really supportive, and I'm glad that these types of projects come to this commission so that we're not always battling against, development on the opposite direction, where we take bare land and build stuff on, actually removing stuff in this case. So yeah, thank you.
Mahalo, Commissioner Poi Poi. I have a quick question with this one here, because they're all presentations. Yeah. For the number 3, is it possible to move it up?
You can take in the yeah, you can say if there's no objections, I'll move this item. You would say if there's no objections, I'm going to move item 3 to the second matter today, and then if there's no objections, then it's just done.
Okay. Looking at today's agenda, I would like to make a little schedule change and see if Ms. Tanya Lee would be willing to move up. Well, okay. So without objections, I would like to move agenda B item 1 to be the next presentation, and then move agenda A to 2. Any objections? Seeing none. Okay, and then we're going to move to agenda B, communication, Kaike, number 1, consultation request to Maui County Cultural Resources Commission regarding preparation of cultural impact assessment by Aina Archaeology for the EC Pāʻia Town Project that proposes mixed use, which includes residential, commercial, and public quasi-public developments, Hama Kuapoko Ahupua'a, Hama Kuapoko Moku Maui Mokupuni, and we have the TMK numbers there.
Chair.
Yes.
For the record, I am an employee of Aina Archaeology, and you can see that the consultation request was actually signed by me. So I am responsible for any of the errors and omissions in it, but I am disclosing and recusing myself from this agenda item. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Vice Chair. So Vice Chair is recusing herself from this item, which means as far as the consultation part, there will be no deliberation.
Yeah, you would not be able to take an action that would be construed as comments of the CRC, but you can hear the presentation and ask questions.
Okay, so we'll be able to ask questions.
Okay. If individual commission members had referrals, would that be allowed?
I'm not sure what a referral would be.
In a cultural impact assessment, oftentimes we're looking for individuals or lineal cultural descendants who have connectivity to space. and so that we can understand what the traditional and customary practices are. And we try to cast a wide net, but we want to make sure that we want to catch everyone. So what I mean by referral is if perhaps one of the commissioner knows of a family or ohana or an individual that would be good to consult, would they be able to make that comment?
Yeah, I think that if separately they've got that knowledge and you're going to contact them as part of that process, particularly if there's not other CRC action to be taken, I think you could do that. The issue would be, I don't see this happening, but if like the planning commission had to approve something, if one of those members was involved in that process, that could deal with their ability to vote on the permit. In this case, if all you're saying is after this consultation, you don't really necessarily anticipate the CRC having to approve anything in the future, and there are people that are CRC members but also qualify for this process, I don't think that's an issue with them. When you do that, though, the individual member can feel free to contact me and let me know sort of what they're doing, and just to let them know, like, you can do that, but if it comes back to the CRC, they may not be able to vote on an approval or something like that. That would be the only risk.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we're good to go. Okay, real quick, I'm going to open up to public testimony first. Is there any public testimony here in person or online?
Chair, I don't see anyone online or in person wishing to testify.
Okay, testimony is closed. You may go ahead and do your presentation.
Mahalo. My name is Tanya Lee Gregg with Aina Archaeology. I do not have a PowerPoint for this today, so we're relying primarily on the materials that were sent to the Cultural Resources Commission. So you should have received this letter in your packet. Just one correction in the scoping letter. In the beginning, where we introduced the project, there is a small error in that we indicate that the project spans 40.392 acres Makai of Hana Highway. That is 40. I would like to correct that to 40.392 acres located Mauka of Hana Highway within the former HCNS cane field, just Mauka of the highway. And then, so what the project is the project proponent is looking to expand the Pāʻia town area into 4 separate phases. So you can find the project areas and descriptions on page 2 of the scoping letter, and then the location of these various proposed uses on the proposed community plan, zoning, and boundaries. So this image right here will direct you to where the uses within the project acreage is being proposed. So Makai area, they're proposing public parking to help to alleviate some of the parking issues that folks experience in Pāʻia town. In area 2, they're proposing multi-family residential housing to fulfill an affordable housing resource or area for housing in the area. Areas 3 and 4 they're looking at doing mixed commercial, retail, medical, and service spaces. So medical spaces such as clinics, service spaces that might include a cultural and heritage facility and various other uses in that way, as well as commercial spaces as well. You'll notice that 3 and 4 are close to the mini bypass as it goes onto Baldwin Avenue, and area 4, where the commercial space is slated for, is in keeping with the commercial spaces that are in the area in that area as well. Areas 5 and 6 are being proposed for single-family residential homes. The area is within the urban growth area for Pāʻia town. Currently, it's zoned agricultural for the former uses in the area by HCNS during the sugar plantation time period. But it has been identified as an area for growth in the community plan, and any any of the design architecture will be in keeping with the small town guidelines. For the cultural impact assessment, we are seeking any information, referrals to individuals or kupuna or ohana that might have information on the general history, present and past land use within the project area. We look within the footprint of the project area, and then we also want to understand what happens adjacent to the project area, adjacent to the lands that are being proposed for development. Knowledge of any cultural resources that traditional and customary practices rely upon, either within the footprint of the project area or those adjacent, right? Because we want to understand, are there impacts or are there concerns about any impacts that may happen as a result of the project on access? Are there potential concerns about any impacts that will occur to off-site resources, access to those resources, integrity of those resources? We want to understand those concerns as well. Knowledge of traditional gathering practices in Hamakuopoko, both past and ongoing, and any cultural associations of the study area. Mo'olelo, connections, legendary accounts. We have those that have been published by our Hawaiian scholars and early scholars for this region, but also family stories of the region. We recognize that Pāʻia town, Pāʻia area has gone through a quite extensive history. We have a multi-ethnic community in the area. So family mo'olelo in these areas are also very important to understand. And so any referrals of kupuna or elder kama'aina who might be willing to share their knowledge of the region would be greatly appreciated, and any other cultural communities concerns with regard to this area of Pāʻia town, Hamakuopoko, and the shoreline fronting the area as well. We've identified as an area that we would seek additional information about. Thus far, we've reached out to Native Hawaiian organizations, Office of Hawaiian Affairs, Ahamoku, the cultural and lineal descendants of the area, such as the U'u Hokoana Ohana, Ke Aloha Ohana. We've reached out to those groups that have long-standing, I hope I don't mispronounce it, the Motukujuki Mission. Sorry for my pronunciation there. The Rising Mission and other groups in the area. But if there are other ethnic groups in the area that we should be reaching out to, we would like to understand that as well. And that's what I have for you today, and just here seeking mana'o and guidance in this process from the Commission.
Mahalo. Commissioners, does anyone have any referrals, comments of that area, mo'olelo to share? Go ahead, Commissioner Arakawa.
Aloha, mahalo for your presentation. My ohana is the Hokoana U'u family, Ke Alohas. I'd love to connect you folks to more ohana. I'm not sure if you talked to the A'aronas or Kumkeli Rachel folks. They have Aina over there as well. And my ohana church is Pāʻia Hawaiian Protestant Church, so would love to have you folks come and we can talk story and kind of create a group as well. But mahalo for your presentation, and look forward to connecting community to add to your folks' report.
Mahalo.
Mahalo, Commissioner. Anyone else? Okay. Seeing none, thank you so much, Ms. Tanya Lee, for your presentation. Oh, Poi Poi. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Commissioner Poi Poi.
Sorry. Yes, out of curiosity, I don't know if it's even a possibility to maybe address any of the ideas that I might have. I know that this looked like it's across the street from the beach part, or like before the town, yeah?
Yes. Mhm.
Oh, so trying to connect it to cultural relevance, or like the history of the neighborhood, seeing if all the space is already spoken for, and maybe get the possibility of inclusion of Makai side retreat. Was that ever considered? Because I know stuff is falling into the ocean, especially in Matakuji. They're trying to get legislation. The thing is so bad. But like having consideration for the history of the town being sort of like having a place to retreat to. I know get plenty open field, and then even that is vulnerable to other stuff like I know brush fires and stuff. I don't know. My idea kind of running away, so I'll just let you answer what like the first part of the question, or can you reply to any questions?
Sure. We have been reaching out to folks who have been doing some dune restoration in the area. Sea Grant, they've been doing, they have a kilo program, a community kilo program that they have been fostering along that shoreline. And we have heard concerns about, impact to Makai resources, which we will need to incorporate into the reporting. As far as managed retreat, I can't really speak to that. I think that that's more of a developer planner question that we can definitely bring to them, and what that means for managed retreat, I think maybe is what we're looking at. With the multi-family housing, with the other single family housing, that potentially might be able to pull folks or address that. But I think that's a very important question to bring to the project proponent. And I think that that's something that we can do and ask them about the aspects of managed retreat and what that means for the folks that are on that shoreline at the moment. We can certainly ask the question.
And thank you. Kind of relating on to that social structure, the history of the town is the people, yeah. And it's continuing on with that. Thank you.
Mahalo for your comments.
Mahalo, Commissioner Popoi, Commissioner Kapu.
Yeah, I just wanted to so the project came to me and I referred the project to Kia'i Collier. That's with Ahamoku. And I think it would be beneficial to really not only reach out, but have them come in because they're part of Hawaii Island Land Trust. So once I got the notice, I sent the notice out to that Moku representative of that area to maybe get more insight. Because they're doing restoration in the Wailuku, Wai'ehu area as well. So maybe can just get some feedback, especially basically on issues of climate change. So mahalo.
Mahalo for your comment.
Mahalo, Commissioner Kapu, Commissioner Arakawa.
I think just wondering how, like thank you for Commissioner Poi's point on retreat, and this might be a question that you might not be able to answer, but like, is DOT involved in as far as like traffic, or roadways, what's the impact? And it's already really congested in that area in the town, and so what would that look like? I might just be like, don't have enough information, but
No, that's okay. I can partially answer that. But I would defer to a traffic consultant on the mechanics of the traffic flow. But the plan currently, so right now the mini bypass is one way. Yeah, that goes up. It connects you from Hana Highway to Baldwin Avenue, just below the post office. So the plan is to relocate that bypass road further toward Kahului, and then that becomes a two-way road, not just a one-way. So it would pull the hope there, or the logic there, is to alleviate the four-way or the three-way stoplight congestion, and it would be able to have folks who are living in Upper Pāʻia, Skill Village, and that region, they would have direct access to go up as they do now with the mini bypass, and with the two-way now proposal for the relocated bypass road, they would also be able to come down onto Hana Highway off of Baldwin Avenue and be able to skip the congestion at the three-way light. Yep. So that's one traffic resolution for not just to try and alleviate the existing congestion, but also address additional housing in the area.
Mahalo, Commissioner. Anyone else have anything that they want to share? Commissioner Kapu? No? Oh, okay. Seeing none, again, mahalo, Ms. Tanya Lee, for your presentation. Thank you for coming.
Mahalo nui. Thank you for your time.
Have a great day. Sorry, did I miss your question? Did you have a question? Oh. Kalamai. Okay. Well, thank you, commissioners. That was mahalo for sharing that information. We're going to move right along to back to agenda item A, number 2, discussion on costs of government commission report on Maui County boards and commissions dated May 2026. Overall findings, observations, and recommendations for the Maui County Cultural Resources Commission. At this time, do we have any public? I'm going to open public testimony. Staff, do we have anybody online?
Chair, I see no one online or in person wishing to testify.
Thank you so much. Public testimony is now closed. Do we have a presenter at this time?
This is Kavika from the Planning Department. There's no formal presentation. This agenda item was requested by the Commission for placement so that it could be openly discussed by the Commission, and that's why it's on the agenda. So it's for your guys' discussion.
Yes,
so I thank you for placing this on the agenda. I asked for this to be agendized because the Cost of Government Commission report that came out directly discussed this body, so this commission, and it had recommendations about, it had 4 specific recommendations about how this body could be better actors. So I just wanted to make sure that the Cultural Resources Commission had a chance to review it. And then maybe if we wanted to, and if you could entertain this for us to maybe respond to those recommendations. And then, because the Cost of Government Commission actually took a lot of time to survey the planning department, to survey former chair Rodriguez before his resignation. And I think it's just for us to be able to discuss it and say if we agree or disagree, or what kind of maybe our own recommendations or our own comments about the report and what they found. So that's the reason why I asked for it to be agendized.
I have a comment.
Go ahead, Commissioner Kapu.
No. Mahalo, Vice Chair. It's good to keep this, on a back burner, especially for a lot of the things that we discussed. So mahalo for requesting for this item to be placed. And is there a window or a timeline that we could give recommendations on what we feel would be very important issues of concern, or maybe possibility, a better lining in a rainbow kind of thing? So yeah, question to Vice Chair. What are you hoping to accomplish, and is there a time window for us to give recommendations?
Oh, yes, go ahead, Vice Chair.
Mahalo for that, Commissioner Kapu. I don't have a timeline, and I'm not actually sure what the Cost of Government Commission's own timeline is. I would suggest that if we could go through just the 4 recommendations that they had for us in discussion today, and then we could possibly come up with just comments back as a body, whether it's like, okay, we have just looked at your report and we acknowledge that it exists or something, or if we wanted to go more in depth and go recommendation by recommendation and have a response to each of those, then that's up to the will of the body today. But the most important part about agendizing it was just making sure that their commissioners knew that this existed out there, and there's a discussion around this commission and some of the issues that we all know and we're well aware of happening. So I think that answers your question, but it doesn't give us a real directive.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, mahalo.
Mahalo, Commissioner Kapu. Commissioner Poi Poi.
Question for staff: if what's it called? Formal annual reporting format or template exists, and if there is one, I didn't have hear of them before, and I'll be interested in seeing what it looks like.
I think part of what we're going to try to do to address that is, especially with HDXs, because we're doing administrative approval, is provide you guys with that update on a regular basis at meeting. We ran into some quorum issues and some cancellation previously, so we haven't been able to do that at the past several meetings, but we plan to do that today and moving forward.
Like, on document that other boards and commissions use that show an annual report. So that's what I'm interested in, because I never seen them before, because all other boards and commissions I'm unaware of having an annual report.
Yeah, I believe what you're talking about, that annual report pertains to the HDXs that this commission reviews, how much are approved, how much are denied or referred for modification. So you saying you just want to see that annually?
I'm thinking I'm thinking that this is a document that comes up every year that has the completed activities of the commission throughout the year, every year. My question is if that exists already in other boards and commissions. I don't know what it looks like. So it might not. Or it might not be a document. It might be just a complete report of every, yeah.
And then I guess for providing, when would be the, I guess, best time to provide that to the commission? Would it be at the end of the calendar year, or would it be at the beginning to coincide with training and orientation? What would make the most sense?
Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
So I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner Poipoi, you're asking about the recommendation number 4, correct? That came out of the Cost of Government Commission report, where they recommend that there be an annual report created by the staff of the Cultural Resources Commission to kind of report not just on HDXs, but the overall entirety of the year. So everything that we do, right? How many meetings, attendance. The Cost of Government Commission's report doesn't actually prescribe what that annual report should be, and it should probably be something that this commission asks for, like Kavika's saying, what do you want included and when do you want it to be created for you? So I think that would be something that if we agree with that recommendation, and I think it's a great recommendation, right? We should be aware of what we are and aren't doing, that we then prescribe for ourselves what we want to see in that report. So it's something like attendance, HDXs, the comments and reviews that we've done, things like that. So I think that's what you were asking, but I'm not sure. That is one of the things that I was going to ask for.
And the information should be stuff that we can evaluate on and self-reflect for the improvement of every board or commission. But yeah, so if it's something that we come up with, I was curious to see if another board or commission or anywhere we could use an example to kind of base it off of, if those exist already. Instead of just making up our own, it's more fast for just use something that already get.
Yeah, so if staff, do you know, okay, I got a thumbs up. So they're going to check into if there's another board or commission that has an annual report that maybe we can template off of. Yeah. So if we can go through some of maybe we started with recommendation number 4, but if we could jump back to recommendation number 1, and that first recommendation is actually enforce attendance requirements. I think Mr. Hopper has to help us with that because I don't know what our attendance requirements are and how we would enforce them. So if everybody's looking at the addendum or it's on page 2 of the Maui Cultural Resources Commission addenda, and maybe page 72 of the entire document.
Page 74.
Is it? Yeah, the way that this is presented is like the main report. The main report, I thought we were going to die there, sorry. The main report is the beginning, and then they've put like addendums for each individual commission at the end. So if you're looking at the larger PDF, our commission starts on page 71, I believe. And then the recommendations are on page, 70 or 74, yeah.
So do you want to talk specifically about the attendance issue? There is a rule on it, and I think there is a county code section on it that I would want to look up. just to make sure it applies to the CRC. But there is a Rule 12, 530-24. It essentially says no member shall be absent from the service of the commission unless the member is sick or otherwise unable to attend and has so advised the chairperson or the commission clerk prior to the meeting. But then there is also, that's one thing, so let people know. But the other thing is, I believe, I can check in the state or in the county code, but I believe there is a there are consequences if there's a certain amount of days missed that include communication to the mayor for referral to council to have the members removed. So that's that. I can look at that sort of triggering mechanism, but in general, the consequences for chronic lack of attendance, and I think there's actually a criteria like percentage, which I imagine we're at with in some cases. The only thing that can really be done is the council to have the council can remove the member upon action, or the member can resign. But if the member doesn't resign, generally that has to be an action taken by the county council to have that member removed for lack of attendance. And if you give me a minute, I can look up the county code section on it, because I just want to make sure it doesn't only apply to planning commissions. I can double check if it applies to the CRC, but whether or not that applies as sort of a formal policy with a like a percentage of meetings missed, I think that can be brought up as a topic. The record reviewed as far as meetings missed, and then that communication made to the council to say, hey, we need replacement. We need other members who can make it if that's an issue, and then the council would have to take it up as an action to have that person removed. I believe. I think it would start with the mayor to send that communication to council to have that member removed. But that's my recollection, but I can look in more detail.
Okay. I think I have the code here. So it's 2.41.090, and it does have those non-attendance. But if you can look it up and you can interpret for us what it means, because there's some language in there that I have questions about. Difference between.
Yeah, I'm having a computer problem this morning. I'm not sure why, so I'm doing this all on my phone, which isn't a problem. I can do it, but I just need a second to bring this up. Thank you.
This is Kavika from the department. I can share with you at least during my tenure what we've done in practice. So in practice, when we have extended or prolonged absence, especially unexcused, then we make every effort to contact the commissioner to find out what's going on. And then we ask them to resign. Because if they don't resign, then we'll start to take the steps to remove them from the commission. The process of removing commissioners from a commission, at least from my perspective, really would only come into play if the commission is fully staffed. If the commission is fully staffed and we're unable to get new members onto the commission because we have commissioners holding seats that are unwilling to attend, then that's an issue where we would absolutely start taking the step to remove those individuals that are unable or unwilling to attend, so that we can then get more willing participants that would be better able to fulfill the duties and roles of the commissioner for that respective commission. We don't have that issue right now. Currently, we're struggling to find people to fill these vacancies. But having said that, we do have some commissioners, for whatever reason, circumstances in their life dictate that they prioritize other things, and we respectfully ask that they resign.
I think that's one of the statements that was made in the report, was that, it's not just us as commissioners not showing up. It's actually that there are vacancies that create the issue of quorum as well. So it's not just one thing, right? It's symptomatic of this bigger thing. So what I heard you say is, if this commission has all of its commissioners, all 9, and a certain commissioner has other priorities, and they don't resign voluntarily, then you would go through the process of whatever Mr. Hopper's going to find for us, and the mayor and the council and all of that. One of the recommendations that the report also says is, or one of the possibilities is having alternates. So I guess that would be like a legislative change. So if we could just, I mean, what do we feel about alternates? Because right now we find it really difficult to find subject matter experts and appropriate commissioners to step up and volunteer to be on this board, to then find like 9 more people to sit in those alternate seats seems like a big ask. But if that helps us going forward, do we ask for the council to put some sort of legislation in place that helps?
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
Alternates to me are sort of questionable from a sunshine law perspective. We have them in a couple of boards, but for me, I'm unclear of that's a historic thing that the Urban Design Review Board did to deal with conflicts. So I've got that question still going. So I would generally discourage that use. But I would also say, if you don't have enough volunteers to fill the first 9 members anyway, allowing for alternates won't help, because you won't have people in there. The reason you would have alternates theoretically is because you'd have a fully staffed 9-member board, but you'd have, for Urban Design Review Board, they had things like a landscape architect and very specific requirements. And what they anticipated, I think, was if that landscape architect, while fully staffed, had a conflict, you wouldn't have a landscape architect there. So you'd have an alternate landscape architect to fill in. It can work if members are unavailable. So you have members, but they're unavailable. Again, assuming you have the full 9 members and 3 alternates, or in some cases 7 members and 3 alternates. But if you have a membership of 9 members, unless you're talking about like unfilled spots because of a qualification, I don't think having alternates is necessarily going to help. But I mainly wanted to raise that the legal issue that it's been done in a couple of cases, I think, dealing with cases where even when fully staffed, you would need a professional. You may have conflicts that prevent those professionals from being there. So just saying that, but then, I mean, I think the obvious issue is just more of a policy issue than a legal issue, but is that if you're not fully staffed with 9 members, trying to find alternates, you probably fill the regular membership first rather than getting an alternate for that. So, yeah. And then, sorry, I'm looking up the section. Was there a particular question you had on the section? Is it how to measure the attendance or something along those lines?
I guess I just don't understand what the difference between. So it says make sure that I've got this right. So in a 6-month period, once the board, commissioner, committee record reflects a member's non-attendance of 50% of more meetings or absences of at least 25% of meetings, blah, blah, blah. What's the difference between non-attendance and absence?
Think I can go through the meeting. I think absence and non-attendance can maybe, I'm thinking could be excused versus not excused. I'll double check that in reading through the section. But I mean, I think they're talking about if you here, let me see because it says before there, yeah, so I think you are considered absent if you don't notify the person at least 48 hours in advance that you can't make it. So I think for whatever reason, if you don't make it, that's not attendance. I think absence is that if you fail to notify the staff at least 48 hours before the meeting, I think that's considered an absence. So non-attendance is you're not here and we don't care about the reason. You could even have a sickness or something like that. But I think the purpose is, hey, you're non-functional, so we have to get someone in there that can function. Absence, I think, means you didn't notify in advance or have a good reason. Again, I would want more time to look at that, but I think generally that's what we're looking at. And then, so if you wanted to do a review of the current membership and see where that's at, I think that's something that could be done. But I do take the point that if you've got vacant spots, that if you remove a member, you still couldn't fill, then I don't know if if planning department wide, they may be prioritizing boards that they maybe have full membership, but people are not attending and they could get a replacement member, but I don't know. But legally, yes, I think that I think that's the basis. And the remedy, as I think we discussed, is that you must send a letter to the mayor with a copy to the council informing of the member's attendance record. And then the department will do it on their behalf if that's not done. Again, that's up to the mayor to sort of initiate the process of removing the member, but that's the consequence, is that letter gets sent. And I think there isn't anything preventing that from happening in other cases if there's chronic non-attendance, but I think this was put in sort of as an automatic mechanism to not, I think there were some boards in the past that had, oh, we don't want to look like we're picking on people or things like that. So I think they wanted to have it consistent, other board members, also county staff, they didn't want to look like that. So I think that got put in there as sort of like a trigger time frame that's supposed to happen from the members to make it a little more consistent and easier for members to sort of say, okay, we're doing this under this code section. I think that's the background.
So, Chair, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Commissioner Poipoi?
Can we please have that term flagged for review or replacement, absence and non-attendance? Can we just have, would it be possible to see whether if we can just use a standard of excused and unexcused absence instead? Make them more easy. Or no can?
You could note that and ask the council to amend the code. I don't know if they would do that just to correct that. I agree with you. Those are easier terms to understand, but I'm not sure if they would initiate it just to do that. They may be looking at it for other reasons, I could say, because you're not the only board to be dealing with this, but it would require the council to make that change, but I think you could note that to staff, which could in turn maybe note that to the council. Or if you wanted to send a letter along with something, I know you're talking about maybe a response to the report, you could note that, I think.
One example is, maybe I'm making this up, but was 3 consecutive unexcused absences results in remove the person?
There were some rules. I think the GPAC had that in their administrative rules, but still it wasn't an automatic removal. That was the trigger to send to the mayor's office, but I've seen that in administrative rules before. I think some boards and commissions have that in their own rules, which they can do. This is a code section that applies regardless of the rules, but I've seen that in admin rules before. But it would still have to be a letter to the mayor to initiate the removal proceedings, because the board and commission itself generally couldn't remove a member that had to be appointed by the mayor with council approval. I think you'd have to have a similar approval process to have that member removed.
Sorry, I'm not looking at the doc, but is this on the same subject bullet point as filling vacancies, or is that a different subject?
I think once there's a vacancy, there's a well, it depends on the vacancy you're talking about. There's a charter section about vacancies. Are you looking at a particular code section? I'm not sure which vacancy filling you're talking about. The charter has a provision.
The primary positions on any board or commission, having a vacancy is one of the, well, it adds to the problem of having quorum. So like speeding up the time frame between removal or resignation, having a vacancy in a primary spot being filled within a certain time, where if you have 5 members, or like bare quorum is already existing on the board or commission, and one person is unexcused absence, like chronically absent, and you keep on dumping quorum without having any replacement, and kind of waiting for the, what is it? One of the committees to here at council at regular meetings. But like, is there like a holding area for applicants that can just speed up the process of getting them to the committee, getting them what is that called, approved, and then putting them in place?
That's getting a little outside my expertise, the board and commission member appointments. I know about the vacancy, or not vacancy. I know about the attendance issues because I've worked on them with other boards and commissions. But as far as what's going on currently with how they're going through members, since they've got the board on board, so to speak, and other things like that, I'm not comfortable speaking to that without getting some information from maybe staff knows more, or maybe we could ask mayor's office and others who are working on that process, because it's become way more complicated in the last few years than what I remember. Sorry, I don't have that answer.
So, Chair.
Right.
So just correct me if I'm wrong, but the independent nomination board actually is constantly churning through all of the applications that come through for all of the boards, right? And so those individuals who have been vetted and who have said that they're interested in volunteering on these commissions get an interview, and then because I'm a meeting junkie, I look at their agendas, and like I've noticed that they've gotten a lot of like 2 or 3 applicants that I'm guessing are sitting in the lineup, I guess, Commissioner Poi Poi, but they have to go through that nomination and then appointment and all of that rigmarole that we all did, which is a very slow process if you don't advocate for yourself, right? Like if you're not over there at the great committee going, hi, I'm Jen Mather and I want to be on this commission, and can you hurry up? And then can you get me onto the council agenda and things like that? Like if you don't know the process, then you're just waiting for somebody at the mayor's office to hope that they realize how important it is for these seats to be filled. But that does not answer your question. It just lets you know that there is a board out there whose job it is to get people get butts in these seats. And I think you were asking like about what the next recommendation is, which is the filling the vacancies and making sure that those people have the exact qualifications, right? Because that's one of the recommendations that came out of the report as well. So if we're satisfied with the attendance recommendation, and we've had discussion around that, and then now we can kind of process as we talk about the other recommendations, we can move on to that one about vacancies.
Without objection, go ahead.
Okay. So I think what it says, let me go back to this page, is target recruitment efforts to increase the pool of applicants with the required background qualifications in the disciplines specified by county code, right? And prioritize recruitment of, I'm going to read it. I don't agree with it, but I'm going to read it. Prioritize recruitment of retired professionals with relevant experience in architecture, archaeology, Hawaiian culture, history, who may have a greater availability for monthly meetings. So we can discuss that one now. Happy to open the discussion. So I completely agree that we should get more people on this board. We should target the specialities that are that will help us have robust discussion. I don't agree with the fact that they should be retired professionals. The individual who made that comment was a retired individual and is no longer on this board. So it kind of it's doesn't prove that point, that it should be retired folks. I think it should just be people with relevant experience and expertise. But how do we do that? Like, how do we, like, all of us, I think everybody here and everybody up there on the screen has asked all of your groups of people that you know, right? To like, please come sit on the Cultural Resources Commission, please, please, please. It just, I don't know how, like, other than, I don't know how, actually. I don't know, because I've begged and I've pleaded. And so I guess, does anybody else have any information? How do, I mean, we're volunteers, right? We don't get paid. We have to do this out of the goodness of our hearts. And actually, I pay for the pleasure to do this because I'm always having to pay for Ubers for my kids to get places. And because I'm not retired, I take a day off of work. And then I impact my employer because I have to recuse myself in all these different ways. So I don't know, and I'm going to be quiet now. Thank you.
Go ahead, Commissioner Poipoi.
I'm in the same boat. I take vacation to come here, and lucky I got no problems leaving work. Also, I have no problems attending the meetings at work too. But yeah, I had to be negotiated to join this. Is it somebody else asking me, can you please? That's true. Because otherwise, I have stuff that is relevant to the work, that the expertise is built with the stuff I do outside of this meeting on INA, and practicing is super important to me. But I don't know how the process works for vetting. I guess it's asking is it the Independent Nominations Board was formed three years ago? Around there, yeah. So prior to this was showing up to the committee meeting, and then having your interview over there. Or unless you had your council member able to vouch for you and your experience and all that. Yeah, I'm not sure. I know that's like filling the spots is like just as important as having the spot filled, and then getting to the place where you attend or not. But yeah, you never know until all of that happens, and see where you stand later on, and do your best to fulfill the thing this radar and have the meeting. I got no answers, so if everything works out great, then good. That's all you can ask for, pretty much, for people who spend money for coming here.
I'm sorry, Chair. So I did ask, so we had the Wailuku Film Festival, right? And at the time, the county said, hey, we did a really good job. We gave all this money to these nonprofits to do really amazing, like, marketing materials to tell the community what they do out in the community. And so I was like, why don't we do that for our boards and commissions, right? So I sent the mayor a text message and said, Mayor, you should make videos, recruitment videos for our boards and commissions, but not just like a, hey, be a commissioner. It should be like a, hey, this is the day in the life of a commissioner, and these are the things that we expect from you, and these are the like specialists. So it would be specific to each commission, right? So that would be, if you're going to be on the Cultural Resources Commission, it's not just about these things, it's about these really cool things too. Like you could be an archaeologist or a historian or, you know, a cultural practitioner and mahi'ai or things, so that people get an idea of what the expectations are. Because a lot of the times what's on paper and what we actually do in this commission, there's a disconnect, right? They don't, like, when I heard Cultural Resources Commission, I was like, oh, I'm going to be talking about like the Vai is important and how we have to protect our cultural landscapes and all of these things. But really what I've realized is this is the building department that we sit in. And so we talk about buildings and we talk about architecture and we talk about, historic preservation in that sense, rather than cultural resource protection and management as indigenous native people would interpret that. So I think it would be important for us to have that kind of thing on our social medias and on our website and just out there on like Akakū or whatever, to explain to people what boards and commissions are just outside of the paper, right? Like we're more visual people now, and we are, as Native people, we're more like story based. So to explain this in a story to people about what we're doing, I think maybe could recruit others. And then maybe some of the things that we've done, like what we've protected or what we're doing right now in Lahaina, like little case studies about that would maybe get people excited to come and sit in this space every month, maybe. So that was one idea that I came up with, but I don't know if there's money or interest in actually actuating it. So yes.
Yes, Commissioner Kapu.
No, I just wanted to, mahalo, Jen. This discussion is very broad. And I know exactly how all the other commissioners feel because right now I'm supposed to be working, but I found one closet where I can hide into so I can do my due diligence as a commissioner. And this has been periodic, but Lahaina right now really needs that mana'o from the commission because there's a lot of permitting that is happening right now. On the residential side, there's a lot being done. On the commercial side, just to give everybody a heads up, I had about maybe 18 commercial property owners here yesterday because Nye County of Maui is also involved in doing the cultural sensitivity training for all contractors that come in the field. But it was good to see the commercial people because they're kind of lined up and will be in front of the commission as well. So I feel really the need to try to figure out how we can expedite something where we can get, kind of like maybe an ad hoc committee put together to find commissioners to sit on these boards and commissions, something. Because sometimes, like for me, if I can't make it because there's an underground incident that's happening, that's way out of my that whether or not I can participate or I cannot participate, but I try to make every meeting that I can unless something really seriously happens in Lahaina on the recovery. But most definitely, yeah. I mean, it's a commitment that we all need to take into heavy consideration. Some of us, and I'm with everyone. We gotta find some kind of way where we can beef up that quorum. I know we're not even in quorum yet, right? We just barely making the 6 members. So what is happening to further that to try to find more people to sit on the Cultural Resource Commission? I mean, I do my best over here trying to figure out because, I had 82 cultural monitors on the field from the recovery looking for them. And, basically Lahaina is hard because this whole town is unemployed. And you figure, because of that, you would find some kind of participation from the people that live here, but there's a lot of difficulties that's happening right now that I don't think not too many of the Pāʻia in this area, as well as any place else, because I think we're going through the same problems. And that's, the biggest thing we worried about is a recession. If there is going to have a recession, then that's kind of one of the adverse effects as to why people not participating in the public comment review. So on the county staff side, I'm fully in support of Jen Mather's mana'o on getting something out there so we can guide people to be more interested in sitting on any boards and commissions would be great. So I just wanted to add that to really encourage and enforce that mana'o to make sure that we can come up with a remedy. Mahalo. Thank you.
Mahalo, Commissioner Kapu. Yeah, I totally agree. You know, sometimes today's world, everything's visual on the phone, and sometimes a 30-second clip of what we do sometimes get more impact than somebody reading a newspaper. Yeah. So I think definitely there's something that we could uh, recommend of them doing. They just have to see, like you said, the cost and stuff. I mean, I recently got myself on TikTok. So you know, I'm myself and learning how to do these types of things. But it's I think it'll help. And then as far as talking to other people to come out and participate, yes, you know, like commissioners, thank you all for your time to come and spend with us when we do have meetings. It is a bit of a sacrifice just to have you guys here and commit to your guys' due diligence. So mahalo to you folks for coming every time we have meetings. And for some of them that we did ask, or like myself, you know, a lot of it is, oh, we don't have time, and which is understandable. And but this, we'll find some volunteers that would want to come. They'll come, you know. So we just gotta be patient.
Mahalo,
Kamika.
mahalo, Chair. I just wanted to add a little bit more. I mean, you probably the old timer. You're the oldest in the commission right now, and I know that you had to come out again to fill the gap, and that's how we all feel because we've been involved in this type of planning for a long time. That we're at that voluntold era now. That if we know that the commission is lacking quorum, then for us that been sitting on the commission, like I said earlier, I sat on the Cultural Resources Commission in 2001, and now I'm back on the Cultural Resources Commission, and it seemed like nothing changed. But who does the documentation for the county when it comes to public? Um, like putting out information to the public. I know they get their website, but what's the possibility of, I know Akakū does all the filming to get that out with the community, but hiring, I don't know. I hear you're on new nonprofit organization that took over Maui Times. The possibility of getting someone to do, documentations on different boards and commissions to put that out on the website. So I don't know whether or not they still have or they do have, but that might be a step in the right direction because, like for us, we got to do our own filming and put it on public media. I think with the county's resources, we can do better on commercials or county websites or I don't know, TikTok or whatever. But I think that would probably help out with filling the gaps on the quorum issue. Malo.
Mahalo, Commissioner. Yes, Kavika.
This is for the commission's consideration. So 530 and 531 are basically the rules that govern this commission. And that's where like you guys should probably look in more as far as potential changes as to how you could better address shortfalls. And what I would probably look into specifically would be 53010 quorum and playing around with that language.
So are you suggesting that, because this is code, right? So 53010 quorum. So it says a majority of all members to which the commission is entitled shall constitute a quorum to transact business, and the concurrence of a majority of all members to which the commission is entitled shall be necessary to take any action. So are you suggesting that maybe we should?
So right now, composition for CRC is set at 9, right? You guys have 9 members. So a majority of all members shall constitute quorum means 5. That's the majority of the composition. And what this section also reads is that the majority of what constitutes quorum is also necessary to take action. That's where the issue and the flaw and the problem is, right? Now, if it was a majority of all members that constitute quorum for that day at that subject meeting, problem solved.
Yeah, I think there are state law limitations on that require there to be the member of which they're entitled. Suppose you could have the CRC be a 7-member board, and then you could have 4 members be required for quorum. Or, I mean, the MRA is 5 members. So, I mean, that would need a code amendment, but that is possible. I mean, that could be something that, I mean, there's some boards that have like 11 members, and that's very hard to get quorum, because, you know, each one person that misses. So that can be considered. I don't think we can make it less than a majority to which they're entitled. I can look at that. But council could change the number of members unless there's some type of federal requirement for there to be a certain number of members. I wouldn't think so. Unless there's a separate thing that applies specifically to the CRC that says they have to be 9 members. But generally, the code could be changed. I don't think the CRC is a charter board. So charter boards, I think, talk about them being 9 members. But I don't think there's anything that would restrict the council to change it to a 7-member board or a 5-member board.
To maintain our CLG standing, do we have to have a certain amount of board members on this board?
Well, right now you have to have 9, so we'd have to do a code amendment to change composition.
Okay, but like our standing as a certified whatever that thing is, that doesn't mandate a certain amount on our board. We've self-mandated 9. But
yeah, I don't believe there's a specific members that is required. But that is something that you'd probably want to discuss as far as what makes sense to reduce membership to, if that's something that the commission was entertaining.
Okay. I mean, personally, I would never want to ask for less representation, but also recognizing the reality of getting 9 members and then maintaining those 9 members. I guess, what do other people think about? Because we can't do anything about it right now, but we can send a recommendation to the council, right, to make that change. But I personally would probably not want to see less representation.
Hi, this is Lakshmi. Kavika and I were talking, and I think this was suggested earlier. What if some of the county members sit in as just for the quorum when there's no quorum? County staff.
They'd have to be listed as members. I mean, the ordinance would have to say they are members. They would need to be made members. So they have to go through the same nomination and appointment process as anyone else. County employees can be board and commission members, provided there's not a conflict. I believe that's something. But they couldn't just substitute for a member if they weren't themselves appointed as a member. But county employees can apply to be members. I think we've had some. I think we've had a public works employee on the Board of Variances and Appeals and on the Urban Design Review Board at some points. And I think there's others.
Okay, so this is going to sound crazy and I might just be, okay. So what if, I get what you're saying. What if we recommended a change to the code that said of the 9 members, 2 members will be staff of the Planning Commission or staff of the Cultural Resources Planning, whatever. So then that it's 7 members of the public, 2 members of people who have to be here anyways. And maybe that's some sort of a balance, maybe? Is there a way that we can, because that exists out there. I mean, look, the DLNR, right? The chair case, or not case anymore, sorry. Chair whoever is the chair, but they are the director of that agency, sorry, okay.
I think they'd still have to go through the appointment process unless I'm missing something. I mean, you can ask this to be investigated, but I mean, I think you still have to go through the appointment process. So, so that person could just apply to be a member right now and they could be granted membership. Now, I don't know if those employees could not simultaneously be staff and be a member at the same time because they're voting on stuff. So they would bring a staff report with a recommendation. They couldn't vote on the recommendation. So you'd have to have a different staff person doing that if they're going to be a board member. So that's the issue there. Like, I'm sure that whoever's chair of that board isn't writing their own staff reports and voting on their own staff reports. So that would be the other thing. You normally have staff to bring things to you, make you recommendations, but that's a bit different than them being a member doing the same thing. So I think the easiest way to do that, to involve staff, is to have, if you want employees to apply for those positions, you could do that. But if you're making them voting members, they couldn't really do at the same meeting that staff, the same staff stuff. For example, the Maui MPO, Metropolitan Planning Organization, has a technical advisory committee that consists of predominantly county employees. But they have the executive director, who's a separate position, who staffs that group. So those employees vote on recommendations, but they're not simultaneously doing staff work on behalf of the technical advisory committee. There's still an executive director, and they had another employee. I don't know if they still do, but the executive director acts as their staff. So I think it would be to have members be appointed at that point. And I don't think there's a way they could bypass the approval process, but we could look at, you could look at something like that. You could also reduce the membership to 7 if you want to. So that's another, or something like that.
Okay, that was a lot of words for me. I'm trying to process. I'm so sorry. Okay. So you're saying that even if we recommended a code change that said staff members are considered board members, that we would still need to go through the process of getting them appointed. So it's moot. Is that right?
I think there's a charter requirement for that. So I don't think you can just add members like that. We could investigate it, but my understanding is that if you want to have a member be a member of a board or commission, you would I don't see how you could go around the nomination board process, whether they're county staff or other people. You could say you could say the chair of the, unless they're somehow not subject to the independent nomination board. But my understanding is all the members for this board are.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking like they're appointed seats that are always appointed to these 2 staff members, regardless of who's that staff member. Like it can be Lakshmi, but it's her position as a cultural resources staff planner that automatically puts that position into a board member position.
So I think you're talking about ex officio members. There's provisions, I think they're all non-voting in the charter where they're referenced. There are also code sections on that, but I don't think that can override the independent nomination board requirement to go through that process, or the charter process for appointing new members, which is the mayor and the others, if they're going to be a full-fledged voting member.
Yeah.
That's that, and then there's filling vacancies and all that stuff, I think would still need to apply. That's why I think you can have ex officio non-voting members.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times you have like the planning director and the public works director. So if they want to come to the meeting and participate in discussions, they're allowed to, they just don't get a vote. There are other boards that have ex officio participating members. So that's possible, but I don't think in this case you can override the charter requirement for appointments as well as the, which is both the INB and then the mayor and council process. So I think you'd still have to go through that process. I don't think you could have essentially an ex officio member that didn't go through that process. I can check with my office on this though, because I don't do as much with appointments, but I don't think you can bypass those charter provisions by having that in a code section, which is essentially subservient to the charter, which is the higher requirement there.
Okay. I would appreciate you checking into that just to make sure that we're exhausting every avenue that we can to try and get us to quorum.
Yeah, and then you would not want to have the staff planner. You could maybe have someone else, another employee or something like that. But given that we've had employees serve as board members, they went through the appointment process. So there also can't be a conflict. So the other question would be, is it a conflict to have a planning department employee voting on one of these boards? That could be another question. In other boards and commissions, it does seem like they have relevant people that are working on those items vote on that. So that would be an interesting question. Maybe that's a Board of Ethics question too. But I think that's the concern. If you've got a departmental employee voting on something that their department produced, are there conflict issues? The charter does reference that.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm a very simple person, so I think of things in simple terms. So I appreciate you thinking in bigger terms and more complexities, because my idea was like, we'll just have them be ex officio and they make up quorum and then the rest of us can vote and there's only 7 and you only need 7 people and so we're all good. Yay, wonderful. But obviously it takes more than just that. So if we could look at how all of that could possibly play out, maybe. I appreciate that. Thank you.
And that was a lot of information as well that I was trying to take in. But it still holds that because the Resources Committee is such a special board, they still have to go to that appointment situation, appointment to be appointed into the commission as a member. Is there, I didn't read it, but is there a number of archaeologists, culturalists, practitioners, engineers that needs to be on the board? Like it has to be like 3 or 4, 2 to 3.
It doesn't specify that like you must have one of this, one of that, one of those. It just specifies that the commission shall consist of individuals from these various professions.
Okay, all right. Mahalo. Because I see where you're getting at, and that would be very, very helpful. How often does staffing, like, is there a turnover? How often is there a staffing turnover? Like employees, how long do they often stay? Like employees, yeah.
Like the division, the department.
As individuals, like some of them, they stay 2 to 3 years or something, and then they move to a different.
I mean, every organization has turnovers. I can say that as far as LRD and the 4 years that I've been there, we've been pretty good.
Mahalo. Because the appointment is 5 years. The appointment to be on the board is 5 years.
Talking about, you mean members, board member turnover versus employee? He was thinking you're talking about planning department employee turnover. You're talking about board and commission.
Oh, no, I'm just talking about as individual planning members, like if there was to be staffed here and we do appoint them to the board. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, we would probably put, people that have experience that could contribute more meaningfully to the board and commission. We definitely wouldn't, if that was something that was actually meaningfully explored. The other thing that should be noted that even if
Chair,
department
to interrupt, we lost Commissioner Poi Poi.
Oh. Okay, let's go to recess. Or do we need to wait like maybe 5 or 10 minutes? Okay, let's go to recess. And commissioners, we're going to go to recess and come back in 10 minutes. Okay, aloha. Welcome back to Maui County Cultural Resources Committee. I call this meeting back to order. Welcome back, commissioners and everyone online. Let's continue with our discussion regarding recommendations for this commission board. Where were we last? Oh, I'm talking about quorum. Okay.
I think we were just finishing up discussions about targeted recruitment and quorum. So if everybody's good with that, then we can move to the third, which is speaks directly to directing the independent nomination board to thoroughly vet potential CRC members for both their ability to regularly attend meetings and their possession of the requisite knowledge and expertise. And I think staff made me aware, Chair, that there is there was Miss Yoshida from the Independent Nomination Board. If she is still available, if we could have her be a resource, if we could ask her some questions about their process.
Yeah. Are we allowed to call upon? Oh, sorry. Are we allowed to call upon people to serve as
I mean, there's not a technical resource thing. I didn't know we would do this. I suppose if she's available, you could ask questions as basically a member of the department at this point. I mean, she's a county, a person working at the county, so I think that's okay because they're considered, I think, part of your staff. So she's a staff person for the INB. Yeah, I think that's fine.
Ms. Yoshida, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, perfect. Are you willing to answer some questions maybe that we have about the INB process?
Absolutely, sure.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, Chair, all yours.
Okay, aloha. Ms. Yoshida, could you please just quickly do a quick ho'olauna introduction of yourself?
Hi, my name is Jody Yoshida. I am the Boards and Commissions Liaison. I also am the Secretary for the Independent Nomination Board as well. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us. Vice Chair, go ahead.
Thank you for being here today, Ms. Yoshida. So the recommendation from the Cost of Government report, it says that they want to direct the independent nomination board, which I know you're just staff, you're not a member of that board, but to thoroughly vet potential CRC members for both their ability to regularly attend meetings, so, reach quorum, and then that they should have the requisite knowledge and expertise to sit on the board as well. So what is the process for CRC potential, like what's the application process and maybe the process that people go through the INB?
Okay, so somebody will probably, they'll apply online. So then the INB receives those applications, and then after that, they for the next meeting, they will be interviewed. And in those interviews are done in an executive session. But I can tell you from being in those meetings that the INB members definitely ask them, are you willing to give up your time for this? Do you have enough time for this as well? Will you be able to make the meetings? That's just one of their standard questions, because before we interview the applicants, I also like to tell them to please go to the website, and then check on read the meeting materials that are all there, all on the website. Even watch the meetings too, so they can kind of understand what's going on and kind of get a gist of like how long meetings are, when the meetings take place, so that they can understand what will be asked of them. So we do ask them to do these kinds of things. And then the INB members usually ask them also, did you look at some of the old, meeting materials that are out there on the website? And is this something that you can commit to? They thoroughly vet every applicant that comes through and make sure that's one of the things. Every person who actually applies also has to agree to the attendance policy as well. They do have to sign that as well too. And so they know that this, if they don't attend and whatnot, they can be kicked off the board, we hate to do that. But if it has happened in the past where we do have folks that, just don't come to any meetings or whatnot, I usually get a report from the boards and commission secretaries as to if somebody has not been attending meetings, and that kind of comes up on my radar at that point. And then I try to reach out to these folks that are not attending and ask them why and see what's going on, And then, I'd rather have people resign if they can't make any of these meetings anymore, I ask them to, maybe you may consider resigning, because I really, really do not like having to remove people from there as a member, because it is quite difficult recruiting folks to apply to a lot of these boards and commissions as well. So, yeah. So the INB asks a lot of questions, and they try to make sure, we try to do as much safeguards as we can to make sure that the applicant knows what they're trying to get themselves into, and just knowing what's going to be asked of them. So, yeah.
Thank you for that breakdown. Do the commissioners, the board members for INB have specific questions for specific boards? So, for example, this board is for Cultural Resources Commission. So we need architectural historians, archaeologists, anthropologists, cultural practitioners. How do they vet that expertise?
They look through their application. So usually the applicant will, list their backgrounds and what they have knowledge of and whatnot, So then, they look at that. They definitely look at all that stuff, because they know that there has to be a certain, have to be the backgrounds to be on this kinds of boards. So they definitely look at all of that. They're not just approving anybody willy-nilly kind of thing. I mean, they actually go through a lot of vetting, and then, and if they pass the muster and it approves through the IMB, then then the lists go to mayor for him to choose from at that point. Or if there's because of the vacancies and trying to fill the vacancies, and because of this weird kind of rules and everything that's in place, if there isn't anybody on the list and everything, then, mayor gets to make his own appointments as well too. If it starts to, I think, get to a certain point where it's just a chronic vacancy, then becomes like a unilateral kind of a appointment. So sometimes it can go in mayor's court, sometimes it's in council's court. I can't speak for council, but I can speak that the mayor does look at all of that stuff in the backgrounds as well.
Thank you for that. A follow-up question: how long do you estimate it takes from the time you folks get an application to the time that an actual person gets into the seat on a commission?
That can widely vary, I'll be quite honest. Because sometimes it depends on the vacancy and depends on who's applying, as well too. It's been pretty tough trying to recruit folks for boards and commissions. Not many people want to have the time. That's what I hear a lot of. I don't have the time to do that, or whatnot. So we try as best as we can to reach out into the community. So yeah.
Okay,
But
so it varies.
it totally varies. Because sometimes we it's just we don't have enough people on the lists, in case of a vacancy, like there's vacancies that have just came up, from the CRC as well. Yeah, we try to put people in there, but the harder part is just the recruiting part, is trying to get people to actually apply for a lot of these vacancies. So if there's nobody applying for them, then we don't have anybody to choose from, So therein lies the hardest part of all, is trying to just attract people who will have the time and who does have the background as well to do this work. So that's the hardest part of all.
Thank you. We recognize that because we were just having the discussion. I don't know if you were here for that, but how we beg and plead people in our circles to come and join us for free. But another follow-up question: how many applicants do you currently have who have indicated on their application that they would sit on the CRC?
Currently, there's not many at all. My numbers keeps going down. I keep trying to reach out to the community in many different ways. We're also trying to gear up for mass nominations. That's for when members who are terming out at the end of March. So we start looking for applicants and everything starting like this month, actually, to help fill all of those vacancies as well. So I'm trying to do a bigger push as well this year, and trying to get with our comms team to get the word out, more so than just a press release. But yeah, I try to attend every county event that I can. I mean, like even I was just at the Lahaina homecoming at the career fair, talking to folks over there, trying to get them to apply and whatnot, or just talking to people all the time, trying to get, just trying to attract as much as I can. I mean, we're probably gearing up again for the county fair as well too. We usually always have a booth there as well within the county tent. Just trying to get people to sign up and be a part of boards and commissions. It's a hard sell. It can be a hard sell sometimes, because you folks do a lot of work, and we really appreciate that as well. But yeah, it can be a hard sell for a lot of folks. Especially some of them, they just really don't want to be grilled in front of council. I get that a lot as well too. But yeah, we try. We definitely try and seek people in the community as well.
Yeah, thank you for all the hard work that you do. Yeah, we recognize that. But we don't know how many people are on your list for CRC then. You said it
Currently,
dwindles, but
yeah, currently I think we don't have anybody on that list right now either. That's why we're trying to recruit as many applicants as we can, because we just need people to apply at least, to start the whole vetting process of all these applicants. So,
okay.
I mean, I try to put the word out there as much as I can. I mean, there's like, even for like the Liquor Control Adjudication Board right now, they have like 4 vacancies, and I'm desperately looking for people, but I'm getting a lot of like people who can't really apply according to the rules and everything. And that's a state rule, like you can't be like a bartender or, deal with any kind of liquor and stuff too. So that's, there's all these kinds of other rules that we have as well. And we, the INB, I can't speak for them, but I definitely know the INB make sure to follow all these rules as to who they put these people or pass through these people, because ultimately it's mayor's decision if he wants to appoint somebody or not.
Okay. Yeah, I quite often pull your agendas, and I thought I saw recently, and recently in my mind could be like 3 months ago, the way that time works, but that you folks had interviewed like 2 or 3 individuals for CRC. But even if they get interviewed, like you just alluded to, that doesn't automatically mean that they get passed on to the mayor. It might be that the INB said this person's not appropriate for this, and then they don't forward their information onto the mayor. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I don't have any other questions, if anybody else does.
Hi, mahalo, Commissioner. Is there anyone that has any questions? Jody, I have one. Was there ever any discussion, like say, people who are already appointed onto other boards that are leaving their appointment because of their time, their time is expired, that might fit other boards? Were there any like times where you would ask them if they could step up to those boards, and then once they're done with their current one, that they would fill that position,
Yes.
or at least attempt to?
So, like right now, I'm going through all their lists of all the people who are terming out. If they've served for 3 years or less in that, because like say if they fill the vacancy or something, then they are allowed to be reappointed. So we try to get those people as much as possible to be reappointed back, and then, there's the ones that are terming out that they can't be reappointed, that, boards and commissions, we actually try to email them and ask them, hey, you want to apply for a different board or commission? So we're going through that whole process right now because of the mass nominations coming up. But yeah, we do ask. I mean, it's not like we don't ask these folks. We try. We really try. And then, because obviously folks that have been doing wonderful on one board, it's like you don't want to let those kind of people go. So you try to get them to another board. Like there's been like even ones that had to step down because of their job does not coincide, would it be ethical for them to stay on a certain board or whatever? And then they just reapply and say, hey, can I be on this board instead? And I'm like, ooh, I like these kinds of people. Because it shows that, they are committed to actually attending and being present. But yeah, so we do try. We try all those avenues as well.
Okay, mahalo, Jody. Commissioners, anyone have any questions? No? Yes, Commissioner Arakawa.
Not a question, more of a comment. I think just going through the process of becoming a commissioner more recently, I felt that it was a great process. I too, in Kako with Jen, thank you for putting this on our agenda. Have been like just hounding people to apply and join this commission in particular. I think there is a lot of power in like a boosted post on social media, like looking for folks. I know that the personnel at the county has a really great fun Instagram that like does recruitment stuff. So if there's anything that can just be like posted, I think just to the point, but not a question, mostly a kako of like how can we be better active participants in this kuleana and getting more people engaged. Mahalo.
Absolutely.
Mahalo, Commissioner. Anything further? Yeah. Shucks, I just thought about something, but I went blank. Maybe it's lunchtime. Yeah, and I get what everyone's saying, spreading the word, getting it out there to people, and perhaps maybe even the children, maybe those who are in political clubs or something, maybe have them come experience a meeting. I'm sure they do that. I remember taking field trips to the state senate and walking around and talking to people and learning what they do. So maybe that's something that we could also offer, have the kids come in. I don't know, do a report or something. But thank you, Jody, for doing what you're doing. And it's not an easy task, but mahalo.
Alrighty. Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
You take bye.
Okay, moving right along. Ilauhoi, Vice Chair.
Okay. So obviously that recommendation's already been done. All right. They're already doing as best as they can and within the means that they have. So I think like Commissioner Arakawa said, we just kako'o them all the way. I guess the next recommendation they had was to consider amending membership requirements under Maui County Code 2.88 to permit the appointment of alternate CRC members. And we kind of already touched on this previously, but this is specific to who could then fill a midterm vacancy on an interim basis until the vacancy is filled by a permanent member. So this is really specific about what the alternative or alternate is being used for. I guess I don't have an opinion on this really. I don't know if anybody else does. Maybe Mr. Hopper, can you remind us what the implications were that you were speaking of earlier?
Well, I have sort of general issues with alternate members, but from practically speaking, if you could find someone who could go through the process and be approved, they wouldn't be an alternate member. I understand the idea is there's a gap between filling a vacancy, but that only works if you have 9 members at some point, because otherwise you would just have that person be a full-time member. So the only time really you can get into alternates are if you've got more than 9 members, or there's like a specific member slot that only one person can fill or something like that. But in this case, this would help if you already had 9 members and you lost one and you were waiting for the 9th member to be in there. But like, it's not as if you've got personnel that can be just lying in wait to be members and not already be participating. I mean, that's my practical take on it, in addition to the, questions I have about alternate members in general.
So again, we have a main issue is get members and then keep members and then eventually we would love to be at the point where we need to have alternate members, but we're not there yet, right? Yeah. Okay. I think we're done with that one. We recognize it as a tool potentially in the future, maybe. So then going on to their next recommendation and the final one, which is to require the Cultural Resources Commission to produce an annual report of its activities to be provided to the county council, mayor, and the public to improve transparency and accountability. And this is kind of what Commissioner Poipoi was alluding to earlier about, do other boards and commissions have annual reports that we can template off of? Staff said they would check on that. So I guess we've already sort of discussed this, but maybe we want to discuss what we as commissioners would want to see in an annual report. So maybe it's not just attendance, but it's actual maybe what we want included.
I don't know. I wouldn't know unless I had an example because I don't know what a report, an annual report will look like. Yeah.
So there are some things that we can put into it. So it would be like HDXs, maybe consultation requests that have come through, like the ones that we've seen in the last few meetings. Any training that we've completed would be good as well. Maybe any legislative things that we've recommended, like what we're recommending for Maui County Code changes over there, any public outreach that we've done. What else do we do here?
I mean, essentially, it would go down the list of you guys doing the responsibilities. And then, per each section, what, if any, for that calendar year did the CRC review or have taken up for that calendar year? And that's what we would know. I mean, that's my assumption on what you guys would be looking for as far as an annual report based on your guys' duties and responsibilities listed in 288.
Okay.
Beyond that, I don't know what else you guys would be looking for. But at a minimum, we're supposed to be providing you guys numbers on HDXs. And that's what we committed to previously, but we haven't been able to do that at past meetings because of loss of quorum, meeting being ending early. But that's something that we committed to trying to provide at every meeting, right? What have been approved administratively for the previous month and what is coming down the pipe so that you guys have awareness, and then what, if any, are being referred to CRC.
Okay. And that's the only reporting that we have right now. So this annual report would take that into consideration amongst all the other responsibilities that we have. I just don't want it to be like a statistical report where it's just like, these are the numbers of things that we did, rather than like more like.
Well, and right now we're just talking about it because you guys are putting together you guys' wish list, and then we're going to talk about it internally, staff wise, as far as realistically what we can provide for you guys.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And maybe that would become a part of the report as well. Like, what are your staffing needs? Like, how can we help you be better staffed? Nah, whatever. Okay. Anybody else have any ideas of what they see in the report? Extraneous to the responsibilities listing?
Take the meeting minutes and summarize them even further. Yeah, you have a report that informs the was there like a progress report of the actions taken by the commission, condense them and have it serve as information for the independent nominations board, or like, you know, come up with or something to a document to reference to point out like, oh yeah, here is a good thing that they did, and here's the deficiencies because of this right here. We lost quorum however many times out of this many days of meetings held. We'll say why in the report, or explain something quickly in the report, and then try our best to have that be a reason to ask people to join the board. And then even that is like in itself is another whole issue that we seem to not be able to overcome consistently. That maybe if you get something, like if you have annual reports for several years over time, we can see, kind of track the patterns and then make adjustments through legislation or like changing policy or the code to maybe reflect something where it's going to be a little bit simpler to conduct business and not just lose decision-making power to administrative approvals, so that we're not taking vacation for nothing, so that the power remains with the people. But then the people know what this, like they're familiar enough with the subject matter to lend some kind of expertise to it. No, I don't know. Sorry, I ran into a wall. I ain't got no answers.
Chair.
No, thank you so much.
No, I agree. I think so that was what I was trying to say when I said not the statistical report, as like what you just said. It's just like it's a report so that we can like look at trends, right, in preservation and even across this commission to make sure that we are accountable and we are transparent about what we're doing, and then we can just do better, right? That's what annual reports are supposed to do. Like we can reflect on what we've accomplished and that what we still have to do. And I love the word that you use in deficiencies. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Any other commissioners would like to say anything, comments, concerns? No? Without objection?
So then I guess what we can address now is that they looked at like cost of government is about administrative efficiency, right? But they didn't address the efficiency of the commission in a broader sense. So they didn't look at like how we're trained and what staff resources we have, or the increasing workload that we've all had because of the Lahaina rebuild. And they also didn't look at the fact that we do have a lot of cultural resource and historical preservation expertise on here. So it felt like a slap down rather than a, hey, good job for what you have actually been accomplishing. And then it didn't address the fact that we should be doing more public education and more public outreach through this, but we just don't have like the capacity to do it, right? So I just want to make sure that the Cost of Good Government Commission knows that we appreciate the work that they did. And that we generally like support a lot of the recommendations that have come out of the report. And we recognize as well that we have to improve on our attendance, and we have to improve on like helping the INB recruit better qualified commissioners. And then we've agreed that we're going to prepare some annual reports with staff. But that maybe evaluating our success solely on government efficiency didn't lend to the good work that we have been doing here as well. So just to put that on the record. So mahalo.
Mahalo, Vice Chair. In closing, you want to close?
In closing, staff, would you, I don't know how to go forward with this, but do we write a letter or how do we get the information that we just all discussed here to the appropriate people that it needs to go to? Do we need to have a letter of like go back to the Cost of Government Commission, or do we need a letter to go to the mayor? Like, I don't even know where their report went to other than to this body right here, and probably to the bodies that they recommended to just go away.
I mean, I'm assuming they made their recommendations to council because the council's the one that can make those changes. I'm not sure exactly where the reports went, but in order for them to substantively do a lot of the things they're talking about in the report, the council would need to take action. So I don't know if you want to, I don't know, if sending out comments is necessary, that's up to you. And I guess you could send a cost of government or council. Or mayor's office, I guess. The other thing would be, is there any action you want to look at taking as part of that? A lot of it would be council action, but those are the potential areas I could see you guys sending, but I don't know if, I mean, there's no legal requirement to do any of that, but those are the agency, the council would be the agency that would have to make some of the changes that were discussed throughout the report generally, I think. So those are the potential people or groups that I think would be looking at this most likely.
Okay, thank you. Staff.
Commissioner Poipoi, Kalamai.
Thank you. Do we transmit to council from staff the receipt of the list and the discussion that we had, and then like a quick explanation of what we discussed? But we're not solving any problems, but we're just saying like, or we're quickly responding or replying to what was on presented on the cost of government report back to us. Great. So staff can, the staff, planning staff can put together a quick follow-up report or something based on our quick discussion, right?
I mean, my initial thought was going to be for you to make a motion, probably to the department, and then like there was something that I thought you guys were discussing that you wanted us, the department, to sort of explore and take on. So I'm assuming you guys should make that motion to that effect so that we can do that. And then we can probably copy maybe council and others on you guys' other concerns and see how that goes. But I'm assuming like for the annual report, that's something more immediately, something that you guys wanted to see, and to start that process, we should probably kind of formalize that. What I can share about the annual report is that the department does do an annual report already. I think every department is responsible for doing an annual report, and the cultural resources section and the long range division, we kind of include a summary of highlights from the CRC. So this would be like a massive expansion on what that is.
Okay, mahalo, Kavika. So in order to transmit this on the record, we need to create a motion.
Yes. So, did you take notes about what we were discussing? And if so, can you read back the main points in relation to the 4 recommendations? If not, I can read you my really long notes, but they probably won't make sense.
I'll defer to you.
Oh, and while Jen's working on the motion for the commissioners online, if you ever need to speak, just go ahead and unmute and then call for the chair, and then I'll recognize you. Sometimes I'm not looking at the screen to see you guys waving, so ikalamai. And if anytime you need to speak up, just go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay, let's try this. So I move that the Cultural Resources Commission transmit a response to the Cost of Government Commission regarding its report on Maui County boards and commissions, with a copy provided to the Maui County Council with the following comments. Ready? Okay. Attendance and recruitment. We agree that attendance and timely recruitment are essential to maintaining quorum. The Commission supports continued efforts to strengthen recruitment and appointments, including through marketing materials, recruitment videos, and social media campaigns. Alternate members. The Commission is willing to consider the concept of alternate members, but cannot support or oppose the recommendation without additional information regarding how alternates would be appointed, qualified, and integrated into its existing charter and county code framework. Number 3, recruitment of qualified members. The Commission recognizes and appreciates the Independent Nominations Board's ongoing efforts to recruit and vet qualified applicants, and we support their continued recruitment of individuals who possess the qualifications identified in Maui County Code Section 2.88. And then for annual report, the Commission supports preparation of an annual report if it serves as a planning and accountability document, identifying Commission and preservation trends, activities, and resource needs, as well as policy issues and recommendations for improving historic preservation, and not just as a statistical document. Further, the Commission expresses its appreciation to the Cost of Government Commission and its work in this report, and we support the recommendation to retain the Cultural Resources Commission. And we support efforts to improve attendance, recruitment, and operational effectiveness. However, it respectfully notes that the Commission's effectiveness should not be evaluated solely through measures of administrative efficiency. There's one more thing. I gotta amend it. I'm sorry. And I forgot the part about when we discuss the potential to create ex officio seats on this. So to the Maui County Council, we further recommend investigating ways in which the quorum or the seats on the Maui County Cultural Commission can be 2 ex officio planning staff and 7 community members. Is that right? Is that what we said? Yeah. To ensure full commission capacity and the ability to meet quorum.
Take a vote.
You said for me to do it.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, I need a second.
Second.
Again,
Second by Poi Poi, Commissioner Poi Poi.
that was remarkable.
I don't think we need any further discussion, but just as the move on, I think I got everything, but if we need to make amendments, happy to do so.
I had I take back my flag for non-attendance and excused and unexcused absences. We can deal with that later on somewhere else. But also motion.
Or I can move to amend it to put it in here somewhere. I just need help writing it.
I agree, Commissioner. I think that's something that can be held within the board's decision later.
Yeah, can deal with that later.
Yes. Yes, Kavika.
Just a suggestion, but your ex officio exploration should be 8-1, not 7-2. And the rationale is because we're here to support you guys. So there should really be more vacancies for volunteers to serve in that capacity. But having 1 seat for quorum purposes, if that is allowed, makes sense. But I wouldn't suggest having 2. I would rather that be left open for a member of the public to fill. So just 8-1 instead of 7-2.
Maybe we could amend it, and I would take it as a friendly amendment from anybody on the commission to say an appropriate amount of ex officio seats, because then the council can come up with what they think is the appropriate amount. No, 8-1. Yeah. Okay. So can I do a friendly amendment on my own to say amend from 7-2 to 8-1? Who's our second? Are you okay with that? Okay, Maha.
Yeah, second, they're gonna advocate for their 8-1 at council anyway. Also, staff comes with on juice recommendation anyway. So yeah, that's good. You wanna limit the amount of staff you get making any decisions about. Hey, wait, staff wouldn't vote, yeah? Or yeah? They would be
No, they
voting.
would be ex officio, so they would
Okay,
be
okay,
there
okay, yeah, just
basically
for
to
have
make sure, yeah, we may have
for hold the
quorums.
meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And again, just noted, I know a multitude, like a large amount of legal issues with that. So exploring, I think, is okay, but offhand, I don't think that's something that's possible, but they can always be explored.
Yeah, just make sure it has that word. Explore and investigate the possibility. We're not mandating anything. We're just trying to come up with some solutions to help us do a better job. So, mahalo.
Okay, all those in favor for the motion, say aye or wave your hands.
Aye.
Okay, mahalo. Any objections? Seeing none, the motion is passed. Any discussions? Seeing none without objections, this agenda item is Kikupau is finished. Okay, moving on. Or should we take a break? Anybody? Anybody wishes to take a break? We're gonna move right along. Okay. Let's see. Updates. Agenda item C. One, discussion on attendance at the National Alliance of Preservation Commissions Forum 2026 highlights, key takeaways, and opportunities to strengthen the preservation commissions. Opening public testimony. Is there anyone here online that wishes to testify? Staff?
Chair, I see no one online or in person wishing to testify.
Mahalo, staff. Testimony is closed. Kavika.
Yes, sure. Thank you. So several meetings back, I had brought this up to the council as far as an opportunity on which I thought it would be great if the chair and vice chair, if they're able to, we should attend. And basically, we were able to attend. So the National Alliance of Preservation Commission held a forum 2026 in Minneapolis, Minnesota on July 22nd to July 26th. And the purpose and focus of this forum was to bring together historic preservation focus organizations and experts from across the country to basically highlight key topic sessions and discussion on how to strengthen historic preservation as a whole. So it was good. The purpose on why I really wanted to go and why, and the sessions that I attended specifically had to do with anything related to law or enforcement or rulemaking, things of that nature to really strengthen historic preservation. What I can share as far as my biggest takeaway from the forum was, if you don't know already, the biggest wow moment was proposed rule changes by the Advisory Council on Historic Preservation to amend Section 106 and basically undermine the consultation process to leave it up entirely to the federal agency or the agency responsible for the federal undertaking to determine whether or not they need to do any type of consultation. That's extremely problematic because that would cause a lot of organizations to miss out on their opportunity to be involved in the discussion process. And on the federal level, Section 106, that's ultimately what leads to, if the project is determined to have an effect, programmatic agreement. And the programmatic agreement is where you actually stipulate the specific types of mitigation for those projects. So the fact that ACHP, who is the overseer of Section 106, is proposing rule changes to basically disregard that is extremely shocking and a huge step back for historic preservation as a whole. There will be some call to sort of
Yeah, thank you to the department and for Kavika for the invitation to participate. It was extremely educational, and one of the things that I didn't know, other than that it was the FLOUR capital of the world, was that, hello, my 5th grade geography failed me, and I had no idea that Minneapolis was on the Mississippi River, so hello. That was interesting. But I chose to go to things that were more native centric. So it was really extremely validating to be amongst other native preservationists, right? Because like Kavika says, a lot of the time it's about the built environment and it's not about the intangible. So to surround yourself with others who see the value in cultural landscapes, who see the value in context studies and in the restorative processes, right? Native restorative processes that are going on, that is part of preservation as well. Because like Commissioner Poi said, sometimes it's not about the things that we should be building, but sometimes about the things that we should be deconstructing to make sure that we're preserving the environment that was there before. So it was really wonderful to be amongst people that shared that idea. And then the actual really encouraging concrete project that was going on was that the Hota people of that area who see that portion of the Mississippi River that was concreted to help with the flour and wheat industry or whatever it was. They concreted it and they solidified this piece of the Mississippi River with the only falls there. And so that sacred area is now, they are in the process of restoring a 5-acre piece of it and taking the concrete out and putting native vegetation there, and conducting ritual. And so it's very similar to what we are going to be doing with Mokuʻula, right? Because it's actually the same actors and the same stakeholders. So you got Army Corps of Engineering, you got a bunch of feds, you got all of these different entities and agencies, and then you got nonprofits, and then you got people on the ground like Na'aikane, and they have their version, which is Oamni Omni Ohodayapi, which is the Friends of St. Anthony Falls. So I was like, oh my gosh, they're in the same spot that we are, because it took them, hundreds of years to get to a point where they're like, okay, now we're going to see some birds back over here, right? Like, amazing. So it was good to see us mirrored elsewhere, and that we're all working towards the same goals, which is to make sure that our cultural landscapes are taken care of and we preserve them in the ways that are indigenously censored. But yeah, if you take people in the next 2 years, because they do this every 2 years, the next one's going to be in St. Louis, I would suggest that you raise your hand and go, because it was an amazing opportunity. Yeah, mahalo.
Yes, I totally agree. Thank you, Kavika and Jen, for accompanying us on this trip. It was a wonderful conference. Nothing more to say other than what everybody else has said. Ditto on that. They had a lot of information that was provided. The one key takeaway for me was just the fact that you had a lot of people that were in the preservation knowledge or area that they are passionate about doing these types of things. And most of them served on boards of commissions, and all of them was mostly, and then some of them was nonprofit and volunteers, just doing their things that the people came out to do and serve. And so that was one of the eye openers for me to just come back home, and then take the position as chair a little bit more serious, and try to be more on top of what we do here, and look at the value of what was shared. One of them was architectural type things, because I don't know too much of that. But then within his presentation, it was the story that he shared behind it. It wasn't just the building that they were saving, but it was the stories and the mo'olelo that we all know here in Hawaii growing up. There's always mo'olelo to something, and not just because a building is standing, that it's worth that was standing for 100 years, that was worth preserving. It was the stories that was behind it. And same like the cultural landscapes that we have here. We look at things a little bit more differently when it comes to historical preservation as people of Hawaii. And so now seeing what's being unveiled with Mokuʻula, we can fully support that transition into looking at the response from the community, and the community efforts that they want to do to preserve this historical site. So mahalo again for allowing me to come and be a part of this opportunity. The opportunity to go into St. Louis looks very good. I would rather sit on the chair as 2 more years so I can go. Nah, just kidding. Because the first thing they showed in the clip was bourbon. And I was like, oh, okay. But anywho, mahalo. Thank you for sharing that. Moving on to the next agenda.
Well, one more quick comment.
Go ahead, Kavika.
Just on FYI, they only eat chicken wings and burgers in Minneapolis. So when I was walking around and I saw this one place that said Ono Hawaiian Place, I had to check it out. And when I went inside, it's just L&L with a different name. So, yeah, I just they could use a little bit more food exploration in Minneapolis.
All right, moving on to agenda item D. Number 1, Director's Report, Administrative Approval of HDX. Opening to public testimony. Staff, is there any?
Chair, there's nobody online or in person.
Mahalo. Close public testimony at this time. Kavika.
I can talk about the HDXs that we approved since April. There's been 5 approvals that's happened, and there are 5 in review. The 5 approved, 2 of them were residences, and the others are stores, and 1 is an apartment building. And the ones in review are residential buildings, the Alano Club, the Ichiki store, Lahaina store, Nagasako building. Yeah. And we have some in 2026 that's come up, which are just in review. It's one of them will probably come to the CRC agenda. It'll be on the CRC agenda for September. And that's about it of mine.
Yeah. So
Is there a list provided attached or anything of these? Okay, so as far as discussion, we do have to check for public testimony, but I definitely don't want to get into discussion of these unless you post that list so the public knows which, like the planning department does, or planning commission does that for SMA exemptions and minor permits. So I don't want to get into an extensive discussion of this. I guess for informational purposes, it's probably okay, but normally you'd have a list of what was granted. So if you want to talk specifically about any of those in particular, I think you would need to have that agendized. You can do it just as a simple list, and but I just want to get that out there for that. So I think it's good to get the information in, but normally you'd have a list, and then yeah. So that's just to note that.
Sure.
Go ahead, Commissioner Popoy.
I think I noticed that that's really convenient to have that list at the back of the agendas. I was like, oh, I wonder if this is just standard practice for Cultural Resource Commission. But maybe we can incorporate that into these meetings as well, into the agenda packet as well moving forward, as a request specific to this situation, where if we do have it, we can have further discussions, and that'll be cool. I don't know if that's like what 20 more pages for for printout for each commissioner, for all commissioners combined. Yeah.
Wait, hold on. I need
I don't know.
clarification
Thank you.
from what you're asking. So, if the request is posting the list of HDXs that was approved and coming down the pipe as far as in review, yep, not a problem. And that can be
Okay, yeah, that's the one.
practice. Okay,
That's the one. Yeah.
absolutely. And then we can start to at least have more specific discussion on those items in the future.
Yeah. Thanks, Kobiko.
Yeah, and again, I don't think it would be a full-on like you would if you're reviewing a permit, but I think for information, if you had, sort of basic questions and things like that, yeah.
Oh, Vice Chair.
So yes, this agenda item basically allows me this opportunity to, again, express that I disagree with the recovery directive that allows for the administrative approval of HDXs. That basically circumvents this board and the public testimony that is accompanied with hearing the applications here in this commission. So right now, you heard Kubika say, right, that Section 106 is under threat, and that the main thing that's going to be taken out is public consultation. That's public testimony for people to come and talk about these federal projects. And yet you could have heard a pin drop when the same exact thing happened in this commission when the directive came down from the Office of Recovery. So I'm just taking the opportunity, because this is on the agenda, to once again say I disagree with this process. I understand you guys do great work in the administration. I don't question your ability to look at these applications with a keen eye. I'm just saying, if we're all going to be as preservationists going, oh my gosh, what are they doing to this National Historic Preservation Act of 1966? What happened here in Maui? So mahalo.
Mahalo, Vice Chair. Okay. Kikupo. Moving on to item 2. Okay, agenda item 2. Agenda items for future meetings. Open testimony. Staff, do we have anybody here for public testimony?
Chair, there's no one online or in person wishing to testify.
Mahalo, closing public testimony. Kavika.
So as mentioned, one of the HDXs will be referred to CRC because they've exceeded, at least in our opinion, what the rebuild is needed to qualify for a like-for-like. That will be the new chemo building. So that will be coming to CRC in September. The other item that we have coming before you guys, I don't know if it'll come before you guys in September, but it will be a nomination to have the Fleetwood building added to the presumably the state, but eventually the National Register of Historic Places as the surviving building that is largely intact and will be rehabilitated to what it was pre-fire, basically. There was something else. Oh, and then there's going to be a request for input by the CRC from SHPD regarding, I think, Pu'unene School. There's going to be some proposed demolition work. So they wanted input, I believe, on design review. So those are the 3 items that we are aware of right now. If others come up, we'll let you guys know.
Yes, go ahead, Vice.
I think I heard you mention earlier that we're going to put in a letter about the changes to Section 106 as well. Is that going to be on the September agenda? Because I feel like that is something.
I need to see where we're at as far as the discussions with the other county agencies, the other certified local government, the State Historic Preservation Division, because it's more of a collaborative effort that needs to be made. It shouldn't be like one letter. It should be multiple, numerous letters that all basically echo the same thing. So I just want to make sure that timing-wise, it makes sense. And if it does make sense to schedule it for September, then yeah, we'll add it to September. If it makes sense for October, then we'll add it for October. But I need to just double check on whether or not September makes the most sense.
Okay, mahalo. Yeah, I just get the sense of urgency for something like that. That's doesn't work very quickly in the feds, but yeah, they can always surprise us. And then another thing about one of your agenda items, you said the Fleetwood building. Is there any way that we can get it agendized as the Lahaina store? Because although it was most
absolutely the Lahaina.
Okay, Lahaina store.
Yeah.
Okay, mahalo, mahalo.
It's whoever said it last that sticks in my head.
Any questions, comments, concerns, commissioners? Seeing none, Mahalo to to the staff. Mahalo, commissioners, for coming to today's meeting. The future meeting date is in September 3rd, 2026. And mahalo to the public who's out there on the internet. Mahalo for joining us for today's meeting. That is it. Adjourned for today's meeting. Mahalo and have a good day.